You are a new entrepreneur. You may say, people may say, like somebody mentioned, no, that I had gone to do the thing, I don't have the bandwidth, but I know how to do. So he was very candid that low experience. But that's when you need experts. Somebody said attracting talent. Attracting talent is a problem. There are enough experts who are willing to become a part of your think tank, whose credentials will help you to attract talent. Depends. I mean, we help in recruitment a lot. And there are very senior people who have said, we are joining this company because you guys are associated with this company. So our credentials is getting rubbed off on our clients' credentials. And that is helping them to attract talent. What you said is true. But you should look at people who are successful, but not at people who are famous. Famous people want a lot of money. Successful people may come at a lower cost.
Why not pay more if they can deliver value?
Depends on your budget, your business plan, all those things. Absolutely right. So what did Indigo do? What did Indigo do? Today, those of us who fly very regularly, what is one of the reasons that we choose?
On time.
Being on time is the most wonderful thing.
And
No cancellation of the flight.
Frequency as well.
Frequency on time. So what did they do is to build that reliability. As an entrepreneur, if you have to be successful in whichever business you are in, the only focus you should have is that the customer, can he or she rely on you like we rely on Indigo. And it is not built in a day. Like Rome, which was not built in a day, it is a continuous, consistent, and creative efforts to reach this stage of reliability. Once you achieve that, then you will find that your customer pipeline has improved. A lot of people spoke about word of mouth. Word of mouth doesn't come unless you are reliable.
Sir, can I ask a question out of context? What happened with SpiceJet? It's a decline?
All right, I'll just answer quickly. See, they did not focus on the essentials of an airline business. Same thing with Kingfisher.
Yeah.
Airline is not about fancy air hostesses. Airline is about safety. Airline is about punctuality. And airline is about behavior on ground and in the air. Indigo flies on time not because of the pilots. They fly on time because of the ground staff who turn around the aircraft when it lands very quickly and ensures everybody is on board early. And they will close the door and say, before time departure, Indigo standard time. That's a pride.
How do you define, generally if you see Kolkata to Delhi, it takes 1.5 hours. But if you see Indigo timings, it says 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 15 minutes. Even if they depart late, it's always on time or before time.
Actually, what they are following? Under promise, over deliver.
yes.
That's a brilliant strategy to make you believe that you are always on time. Because they have built in that buffer to ensure that that perception of being on time is reinforced every time you fly with Indigo. I mean, for me, if Indigo is late, there is some problem. Fog, some aircraft has developed some this thing. That's the belief. That's the reliability that they've created. And you must focus on creating this one value proposition in your business, of your business, that is reliability. Because with reliability, people will come back to you. If you are perceived to be unreliable, people will run away from you and they will propagate more कि मत जाओ इसके पास.
Feedback.
Earlier it was word of mouth, where I will tell you, now it's word of web. If you see, हमको जब सबसे ज़्यादा गुस्सा आता है किसी ब्रांड पर तो फेसबुक में पहले वही लिखते हैं. If you are, and then we'll tag people. And once you tag, they also say, "Arey, you had this experience, I also had this experience." Viral. So I say from warm, it has become wow. All right. So what we need to do, if you look at Aditya Ghosh's this thing, he did, Indigo did, or any other brands did, is understand what is need, want, demand, and desire of any customer. NWDD. It is not good enough to understand needs. What is the difference between need, want, demand, desire? Can anybody explain? Are the same? No. No? So if they are different, what is the difference? Yeah, please.
How is wanting, like if I want water, so that's my need. Wanting, I want a mineral water or something, that's want. Demand, I can demand like alkaline water, that's the demand. Desire may be higher than that.
May I know your name, please, ma'am? Pushpa. Khushbu. Can we clap for Khushbu, please? Wonderful. We don't know each other, no?
Yeah.
So you don't know that I have that in the slides. So please confirm it for everybody. All right? So need is food. I need food. I want a burger or a pizza. I demand a burger. So want is the option. So demand is the choice. And I desire that I have burger in a 5-star hotel. So demand is the lower level, desire is aspirational.
Necessity, luxury and comfort.
Not always necessity luxury, ma'am, but it's also about, it's like mobile phones. I mean, iPhones charge whatever they charge. I mean, they have their value. But everybody doesn't have an iPhone here. And we don't have any hesitation in telling that I don't have an iPhone. Right? So it's a hierarchy. So this is the basic need for which I have the options, which are the wants. I demand one of the options and I desire, which is the higher order. So first of all, are you featuring here? Is your company one of the options they are considering to fulfilling the need? That's the first question you have to answer. And your entire selling efforts is to move from want to. And as you go up the line, you will be somewhere at a desirable level. Who's this? Mad guy, na? He is actually a mad guy. He is actually your prospect. He is a person who has the money, who has the authority, and who has the desire to purchase what you are trying to sell. So you have to identify correctly who is this mad person, mad fellow, and then only go and pitch to that person to sell you what you want to say. Most of the salespeople don't make this identification correctly, especially in a large organization. You may ignore, like I worked for a company called Berger Paints. So the most important person, this mad, is the guy who will actually apply the paint on the car. He has got several levels of hierarchy on top of him. If they are convinced and this fellow is not convinced, on the other hand, if he is convinced and he says, I want this paint, the money will be given by his CDS. So you have to identify based on your business that who is that mad person whom you have to convince. I have got exactly 22 minutes. Okay. I have to pace myself accordingly. Otherwise, Tarmika will never invite me again. All right. So the prospect, that's an organization. Right? So in organization, what you need to do is, where is that organization in its own journey cycle? If you are selling to a Tata, which is an established organization over so many years, versus something which has grown day before yesterday, your approach has to be different. But in Tata, if it is a new company of Tata, Tata New, let's say NEU, then it's a different ball game than Tisco. Why is it important? Why do you need to know about his journey life cycle? Tell me.
Where he is going to spend his money will depend also on the life cycle.
Life cycle only build up the trust.
Life cycle builds up trust. Depending on the, organization which is very well established, at times is lesser open to trying new things. This is my experience. 15 साल से ये हो रहा है, क्यों भैया? Why should I put my head on the chopping block and try somebody new? If anything goes wrong, I'll be hung upside down. Am I right? So they at times become risk averse. Not always. It depends on the culture of the company. Second is, the organization has a size in terms of number of employees, top line revenues. Because these will help you to understand. For example, somebody is selling an accounting software. Somebody mentioned. Now if a company has 2 people in accounts versus somebody who has 25 people, is there a difference? So if you don't have this basic data, how will you talk about what you want to talk about? Which industry is that organization competing? That business dynamics, if you recall. And the company also has competition. Wherever to whom you are selling, are they in an industry which does not have competition? Yes or no? They also have competition. So, what is the person spends on your P/S is the product or service that you are trying to sell? Like that washer will be what? Less than 1% of the total manufacturing cost maybe. But if it is a high-end washer, it could be 3 to 4%. So if it is a high-end washer, if that washer is very critical to the performance of that machine, then the way they will examine your product, your after-sale service, will be very different from if it is only 0.1% of the total investment. Do you agree with me? So there are a lot of dynamics that you need to understand if you really need to sell well. What is the role of whatever you are selling as product or service in that person's business? For example, if you are selling a refill to a pen manufacturer, is the refill the most important dimension of a pen? Am I right or wrong? So there, your requirement is different from the plastic body. The performance expectations are different. So depending on what you are marketing, what you are trying to sell, what role does it play in the person who's your customer, his business, is very important to understand. Right? And whatever you are trying to sell, does your customer's competitor need it? If your customer's competitor needs it, it makes your life easier to convince that customer. Right? The next is, when does a prospect contact you? If you look at this, this is our ideas model which we use for brand consulting. So A is awareness. Our theory is that more people know you than the people who buy you. And once you've created awareness, the customer goes through a phase of inquisitiveness. So therefore, those of you who are doing digital marketing, for example, to sell yourself, your digital marketing efforts should bring the customer to one of your digital assets. A website, a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, whatever it is. And that digital asset has to be what you want it to be from a customer's perspective. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Because that's where it will inquisitiveness land. And then he will move from inquisitiveness to desire when he is ready to explore. And if the customer contacts you through digital, remember, any digital leads have to be contacted within the next 45 minutes. Because if the person has decided to explore you, the person may also decide to explore your competitors. Whoever responds first will have the first mover advantage. I call it the fast mover advantage. Right? And then when the person is intention to buy, is when the person asks for a demo, asks for a sample, whatever it is. And the person will accept to buy only when all the value equation is met, is happy with the salesperson, and raises the purchase order to purchase. To me, sales is not complete unless you've received the payment. And if everything goes well, you will create the most powerful tool for marketing and sales, which is word of mouth. If you look at the examples which most of you spoke, is the power of word of mouth. You can take a photograph. That's not a problem at all. So we use this model for using brand consulting, and we superimpose role of media, role of customer service, and many other things on this model, because the customer goes through this journey whether we like it or not. Any questions on this? Shall we move? 15 minutes more. Oh my God, I'm running against time. All right. The other thing which I have found most of the salespeople do not do enough work, homework, is trying to understand the person whom you want to sell to. Ultimately, it's a human being who will decide on your selling efforts. Yes or no?
Yes.
He is also in a career life cycle. She is also in a career life cycle. Do you know where that person is in the career life cycle? Depending on the person at the early stage of career, mid stage of career, towards the decline of his career, your pitch will change.
Customer profile.
Yes, from that person's life cycle in his or her career. Somebody who is 2 years away from retirement will चल रहा है चलने दो भाई क्यों. But somebody who is moving from early stage to mid management will be open to innovations, will take challenges, will try to do something which has not been done before in the organization. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, right.
So that's a very psychological aspect of selling. This person has a role of either the gatekeeper, influencer, or decision maker. Depending on whom you are talking to, your sales pitch will be different. Typically, this is up the hierarchy. It could also be reversed on the hierarchy. Let's say you are going to sell an IT solution, that accounts software. You go to the dealer owner, who is the decision maker. The gatekeeper is that receptionist who has to allow you to go and meet the dealer owner. Believe me, receptionists are the most important people in selling. If they don't cooperate with you, you will never get the correct picture. The influencer is the accountant who's sitting there. If he thinks, boss, I am happy with TiE, why try something else? The decision maker also cannot do anything. Am I right or wrong? So you have to decide and identify who's in which role, and accordingly you have to do your sales pitch. The person whom you are trying to convince also competes within the company. That person also has a career aspiration, that person has a professional rival. All these dynamics need to be understood. And it's not easy, but you can do it. Has career aspirations, then the person has a socio-economic background. A person who's a teacher's son brought up in a semi-urban upbringing will have different social values than somebody who has been raised in Park Street in Kolkata. But we don't do the check. We don't look at socio-economic background as one of the parameters which needs to be understood. The person has likes and dislikes. Don't ever talk that you are fond of CM or PM because you don't know which way it is. I remember I was gone to a call when I was in my last job, to a company called Airtel. You know Airtel? I had gone to their marketing head. And we started to talk, and then I spoke about my first boss in Berger Paints. And I said that he is the most smart Odia that I have ever met in life. So in a way, it's a derogatory statement. Because I'm identifying a smart Odia. It's like an intelligent Sardar. There is no Sardar in this room. No? If I say I is the most intelligent Sardar I have met, you're actually making a negative comment on Sardar as a community. Am I right or wrong? And I said a lot of things, and then suddenly I realized, I said, hope there is no Odia amongst us here. He says, I am the Odia. The guy sitting on the other side of the table. So I said, you are the second most smart Odia I have met. I will still keep my boss as the first. But the point is, you cannot talk loose because you don't know what are the likes and dislikes. Very, very important. The person may have mentors and rivals. Identifying them helps you to navigate yourself better. And the person has functional competency and skills. Let me take that washer. Now that washer could be a purchase person who is buying, who understands nothing about metals and materials. And you give them a lot of gyan. That guy will keep away from you. Bhaiya, ye to bahut janta hai. Dur raho. But you need to talk in the manner which is how he will understand. So you need to understand that person's functional competency and skills, and accordingly you have to pitch. All right. Oh, finally we come to the topic. Selling is not selling. And we have got only 10 minutes left for that. Anyway, ultimately it's a human being who interacts with another human being. Am I right or wrong? In any selling. So there is a first contact, there is an interaction, and then finally somebody buys your product. So in the first contact, it could be phone, walk-in, digital. In interaction, you try and